Hey everybody, Dev here, and last video I mentioned that we were in a clan war. Whoops, we were in a clan war and we were coming towards the ending of that. Unfortunately for us, we didn't quite clinch the win, we were 2 stars short, and this is the story on how it all unfolded. Essentially it came down to the last 3 bases, so I'll run through what happened here with my attacks particularly. So, taking a look at this one, we've got a Town Hall 11, but we've got mid Town Hall, or late Town Hall 9, sort of mid Town Hall 10 defences in here. There's no Eagle Artillery. CC draw is fairly easy. There's a hidden Tesla back here. We found that out on a scout. So I decided to go GoBoWi on this one, as you can see. Changing slightly with the hog, but you are about to watch and see what happens. So the first thing I did was trigger that hidden Tesla and take that one out and use the hog to draw the CC. There we go. Conscious of the fact that I didn't expect the giant to make it to that line. Okay, and over here there was no damage, nothing that could hit that archer, so I drew all the 3 baby dragons, which we also found out from the scout. And here I used a queen with no healers. This felt weird, queen with no healers on that queen walk. So she was able to dispose of the CC troops, and it was her job to do a little bit of a funnel around here. The next step was to get into the core, but to do that I had to funnel out, so in with the jump, giants and all the witches down there, so there's 6, which is awesome. Okay, and then once that small golem got into the center and started drawing the splash damage fire, Queen done her funnel part, which is awesome. In with the main thrust of bowlers. Okay, so a jump path into this inferno, and then a second jump path to get into that inferno over there. Right, so we can see a freeze there was just to manage that inferno until I got over and crushed it. There we go, triggering all the bombs. Now pop the warden ability, going into some more splash. Okay, but while that's going on, you can see that the queen's gone down. But over here, we've got the the witches, still doing their thing, and some bowlers have managed to get trapped in that little pocket. But the rest of the force is smashing through that core. I needed a couple more jumps to get through quickly, but then again we just used raw power to chuck stuff over the compartment walls. So I've still got a max golem there up. He seems like a bit of overkill right now, but then again you can't argue with the results too much. Fascinating watching these witches at work. I started with 6, I've now got 4 through all that splash damage. The biggest threat was that bomb tower and wizard towers earlier on, but now you can see we've got some mortars, but the little Larrys just overrun everything, which is quite cool. The queen ended up dying, but I had a wizard and an archer in the pocket just to finish off those last few buildings. So there we go. That was the first one. That's a GoBoWi. Things were looking pretty good at this stage. Actually, this was the last attack in the war, so no, it wasn't looking very good, because the 2-star attempt that I made on this one, sorry, 3-star attempt, only getting 2. Slightly different base. The defenses are slightly higher. The layout is much worse as far as I'm concerned. There's a whole lot going on here, and it's really tough with these big bases with the compartments. You've only got a limited number of spell slots, and I decided that taking 2 jumps as standard was the play, and I almost got away with it too, if it weren't for you pesky kids. Yeah, well, these pesky defenses. So the first job was to use a wizard here to funnel. You'll see why shortly. Giant and hog, again from a scout, we found that was the best way to draw the CC out. And then the queen up here, and some poison, of course, to deal with the CC troops. Alright, and you can see I've got max healers here, which is quite interesting. This will be the first time you see me use max healers. I might actually show you a queen walk that I had from a raid earlier on to show you just how good the queen walk is at the moment. Alright, so once the queen was there, I felt she was pretty safe. So through here was the funnel. Turns out I was wrong with the queen, by the way. Just take note of that golem and wall breakers making the breach. Over here, pop the queen ability, but to no avail really. She ended up taking just a lot more fire from those cannons and archers and expo, so she just got overwhelmed there. So over here was the jump path. I had to get things moving pretty quickly. It's a large base and I needed to get through as much of that stuff as possible. Bowlers sort of go right a little bit, didn't quite get the funnel right, and I really wanted that Inferno to go down quickly. I needed to use the Warden there, saving the freeze for the second one, getting that jump path sorted and getting the bowlers raged up, but they just weren't going over that Inferno quick enough for my liking. Okay, now once they were done, through here, that core, it was just a case of getting the rest of the base sorted out with the second stage, well, either the third stage of this attack, and that was the witches. So they got deployed back here, further away from the buildings than we needed to, just so that those skeletons get a bit of a run-up, get some distance between them and the witches. Here, that Inferno, annoyingly, frustratingly, takes out some of my bowlers, and it's up to the Warden to do his thing on that Inferno tower. Luckily, we've got the max healers behind him, but there's just nothing left in the core, and I really needed to get out of there. So all those compartments were a real hindrance, and right now I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that third jump should have been the play. However, let's take a look at this. Tesla farm, we've seen this in a previous video of mine, 4 witches versus 4 Teslas in a wizard tower. Guess who wins this race, this battle? It's actually my troops, which is surprising. So once that wizard goes down, that wizard tower and that Tesla, we can see those skeletons now just overwhelm those Teslas and that cannon. Still keeping that wizard alive, which is really neat. But again, just needed a bit more meat on this one. So, yep, healer and bowler still stuck, pinging away on the town hall. One of these things where you kind of think if you had a bit more time up your sleeve, maybe I could have looped around. But really, I needed that queen to stay alive. But she didn't, and as a result, I ended up with a high, well, not high, 83% on that attempt. Now, all of this was actually in vain. We got 1 star here on 1. Our strategy was always going to be to try and get 1 on this and 3 star 2 and 3. But it turns out that we were behind the 8 ball here, and I'm about to show you after this raid, this attack, why that was. Now this is going at 2 times speed because we've got a queen just trying to funnel things out. And Chalant really was going for the town hall here, but this is a tricky thing again. Funneling from a corner on a ring base is a bad move, typically. Chalant's about to demonstrate why that is. Trying to bust open with wall breakers down the bottom there. Big Tesla farm there too, protecting that eagle artillery. Poor wall breakers never stood a chance. Oh, okay, time to charge my phone. So we've got some boulders in there, and he's dropped a jump spell, and it didn't quite overlap that wall for the town hall. I believe that wouldn't have mattered anyway because the bowlers would have destroyed those buildings and then thought about going not forwards but left and right, as you can see. So he is going to get percentage here. Mass bowlers is always good on ring bases to get percentage. We've got 1 bowler here who has finally joined the party, bit of a hesitation there, but Giant Bomb picks him off pretty quickly. Oddly enough, some haste spells, I'm not sure about that. Maybe a rage or more another freeze would have been useful instead, or possibly even another jump. Okay, but you can see here that Chalant, to his credit, did a really good job in getting that 1 star. Sometimes that 1 star is all you need, especially if you're in the driver's seat. And he's going to end up with about 62%. Yeah. Alright. Now, why was all this in vain? Well, hate to say it, but we got smashed. Take a look at that list. Everyone got 3-starred, with the exception of myself, and even then it was a pretty close run thing. Then number 5, take my hat off to him. He has beaten me at my own game. Here he's using a GoBoWi. He's got 3 witches up there and about 4 or 5 bowlers with a healer, trying to keep them alive. And he's made another funnel down here as well. So this is another take on the GoBoWi, where you use a healer to keep everything alive, and you use everything to funnel in through the core. He used a jump spell here, a jump spell there. It's got a good path going on. Eagle artillery fires, but he's not actually targeting any critical units at this stage. In fact, he's targeting things off to the side. Warden ability about to pop. There it goes. Okay, CC troops are activated. He's taken a heal spell in his CC, and this is something I've thought about doing, so maybe in my next few raids I'll be doing that too. But you can see here that just raging through that core, taking out those Infernos, taking out the Eagle Artillery, taking out the Town Hall, things are looking pretty good for this attacker. Now again, I can't pronounce his name, but I should be giving him a shout out. I initially thought that perhaps maybe this was an X-mod attack, but I've since calmed down and realized that no, you know what, it's actually probably a really good attacker who's done this sort of thing before, keeping in mind that my base design is fairly common. You do see it a lot when you're out raiding, but fortunately I now sort of know kind of how to deal with it, which is kind of interesting as well. The thing was, though, their number 1 and number 2 did attack me and only got 44% and 48% respectively, so we were sitting pretty comfortable, so it's a bit of a shock when he comes along and just destroys my base. No one likes being beaten, but then again, it is always good to learn from these sort of experiences too. Alright, we've got a minute left, so it's really a couple of witches on the outside there and the heroes. Of course, you're watching this live and you're just groaning inside going, oh my god, I can't believe my base got rolled like this, I'm such a noob. But then again, this is the first time this has happened in all the wars it's been on, so I'm going to keep my base. I'm not going to throw it out just yet until someone else can prove that they can 3-star or 2-star quite highly with ease. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately we didn't win the war, but then again, good opportunity for us to learn from our mistakes. So full credit to Arsud clan. You guys were worthy opponents. You took us out 74 to 72, and hopefully we get a rematch. All right, I'll leave it with you. Thanks for watching. As always, Dev out.